I still want to go to graduate school, maybe.
Your wife have a stroke yesterday? Oh, I was like, whoa, impressed. Those late night Instagrams up like there's no way.
Good morning, Horizon.
Yeah.
My name is Francesca. I'm kind of filling in for Camille while she's gone. So I invite you to stand up so we can praise Jesus together this morning. Come, let us worship our King. Come, let us bow at His feet. He has done great things. See what our Savior has done. See how His love overcomes. He has done great things. He has done great things. Oh hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken the light. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God, you have done great things. You've been faithful through every storm. You'll be faithful forevermore. You have done great things. And I know you will do it again. For your promise is yes and amen. You will do great things. He's gonna do great things. God, you do great things. Oh, hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken the light. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God, you have done great things. Hallelujah, God, above it all. Hallelujah, God, unshakable. Hallelujah, you have done great things. Sing hallelujah. Oh, and hallelujah, God, above it all. Hallelujah, God, unshakable. Hallelujah, you have done great things. Oh, you have done, oh hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken the light. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God, you have done great things. You have done great things. Oh God, you do great things. God? Why is there disease? And those are not things of God. Our God is a God of good things. He has done great things. He has done amazing things that we can't even imagine. Those other things are just the devil trying to play with us. And he ain't going. Because our Father is good. Our Father is so good. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories when they think you're like an heard 10 whisper in terror I could tell that you're pleased and never alone. Who is it? You're good, Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, and I see many searching for answers, far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're good, Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. 'Cause you are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. To us, He is so good. Yes, you are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. To us. Oh, it's love so undeniable. I can hardly say He's so unexplainable. I can hardly think as you come deeper still and call. Deeper still, yes, you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, you're good, Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. who I am. It's who I am.
Will you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, there are those of us here this morning who are longing to hear that truth, that you are a good, good Father, wanting good, good things for us. Help us to hear that again this morning, God. That is who we are. We are people who are loved by you. God, this morning, many of us bring with us in our minds and our hearts people who are experiencing all kinds of things. Our friends, our family, or just people throughout the world who experience just all kinds of bad things this week. And so, God, we ask you this morning to show us ways that we can teach them and tell them about your good, good love and remind them of who they are, people who are loved by you. We're here this morning, God, to worship you, to remember that you shine light and ignite change in our lives, that we may go from this place to do the same, shine light and ignite change. We're here this morning for you, God. Amen. You may be seated. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Erica Allen. I'm one of the pastors here at Horizon. We are so very glad to see each and every one of you here this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. If this is your first time worshiping with us, you were given hopefully a connection card on your way in. If you weren't, there's going to be some outside. If you'll just take a moment to fill out that connection card, and you can either place it in the offering baskets when they come around towards the end of the service, or you can hand that connection card to Chris or myself at the end of the service. We'll be outside waiting for you, and we'll exchange a free gift for you for a connection card. So either of those things will work. There's one thing that I want to make sure to invite all of you Horizon people to this week and tell you to invite your friends or people to join you, and that is that we are making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for folks experiencing homelessness on Tuesday night. So we'll gather at A1 Bay Brewery. There's a room in the back where we set it up, we make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then we take those sandwiches to Faith Cafe the next day, and folks who are experiencing homelessness get to have a hot meal. They're welcomed by their name as they come in, and then when they leave with their next meal in their hands. So they don't have to worry about where that's coming from next. They leave with it in their hand. So come and help and be a part of that with us if you would like. If you will, stand and continue to sing and worship with us this morning.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. I'll be overwhelming, never ending, endless love, God. Oh, it chases me down, fighting, found leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love, God. Yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no words You've heard it all. You have been so kind. The overwhelming, oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. So shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me, there's no wall. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no lie you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. For God, there are no walls. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. One more time, there's no shadow. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Would you pray with me? God, we just come to you this morning. We are so prone to wander, to leave your presence. God, whatever walls that we have put up, whatever darkness we are hiding in, to make your presence known to us this morning. Lord, we love you and thank you for your grace. Amen. I just want to give a round of applause and thank you to Francesca for leading us in worship this morning. It's great to have someone who's so talented to be a guest leader with us today. You go ahead and give a high five to those around you. Horizon, and it's great to have you in worship. And Eric and I are just overjoyed if this is your first time with us. We've been praying for you, and we are just so excited that you have joined us this morning. We're in the second week of a series called In Order, and in this series, it's that time of year where if you've been to Home Depot or Walmart or Target recently, the Halloween decorations are starting to disappear a little bit. There must be that point where they figured out that people are no longer going to be buying Halloween decorations, but now it's turned to Christmas, and that chaos begins to ensue in our lives. We start getting pulled in so many different directions, and so it's not, we don't want to wait till the new year to begin something new, to order our lives. We can do it right here, right now. And so in this series, we're looking at the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is a shorter book. It only has 31 chapters in it, and it's some great one-line wisdom sayings in it. There's probably some verses in there that you are really familiar with. And so if you're looking to start reading the Bible and get back into that habit, the book of Proverbs would be a great place to start. You can do one chapter a day and finish it in an entire month. When Eric and I moved to Tampa a couple of years ago, we scheduled a meeting with the then current city council person for the South Tampa area, Harry Cohen. And we were sitting in his office, and it was a great meeting. And at the end of the meeting, he asked us if we had any further questions. And so Eric always has something to say. And he goes, I actually have one more question. And granted that we've only been living here for 2 weeks at this point, and Erica never lived in South Tampa before, never lived in Florida, had not quite understood that it rains every afternoon in the summer. It rains for about 30 minutes, and the streets flood. And she goes, yeah, when are you going to do something about the streets flooding? I can't get home every afternoon in my little Jetta. And I have to give Harry some credit here. He could have given a very politician answer of yeah, we're working on stormwater issues. And he just looks at us and he's like, yeah, there's nothing I can do really about that. And his recommendation to us that day was to probably get a vehicle a little higher off the ground than a jet. And so that then we planted a seed that day of, eventually maybe when we need a new car the next time, we'd get something a little higher up. Because if you know Erica, there's not much that's going to stop her from getting home, especially when she's got 2 kids in the car. And so she was raised on Oregon Trail, and she's just going to ford the river in the Jetta. And so then that's going to be a call to me to come get her and figure out what to do with the Jetta. So long term, we talked about maybe we would get something like an SUV a little higher up because of those South Tampa streets. And a couple weeks ago, that same Jetta had an issue with the air conditioning. It was making some terrible noise, and so I took it in to get it repaired, and I'm sitting there waiting on it, and I see this Volkswagen SUV, and I was like, man, that looks really nice. And so, I'm sitting there, as any good person does these days when they're in a waiting room. I pull up my phone, I Google, what is this car? And I find out, I see the model, oh, they just started making it, that's cool. Maybe long term this would be something we'd look at. And then, I kid you not, and you've probably had these moments too, that evening we flip on Hulu, and we start catching up on some episodes of This Is Us, and every commercial break that they put in those, those little 2-minute breaks they put in, was an ad for this same car that I had just Googled that day. And then it just keeps building. So then I'm like, well, I need to know some more info about this car. And so I started Googling some more stuff about it, read some reviews. I know interest rates are going down. I was like, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is a sign from God to get this car. And before long, something that was not a priority, we don't need a new car, had taken half an hour of my time. Something that was completely outside of me, something that I didn't need, took control of my life. It became my priority when it really wasn't. And I know you've never had those kind of experiences where you start clicking on something and it just leads you down a rabbit hole of sorts. There are so many things that are outside of us that control our lives. Just think about our phones. There could be, I think, an earthquake in this room right now, and the first thing that each of us would probably do would pull out our phones because we thought it vibrated. There's the never-ending scroll of the Facebook feed and the Instagram. You can just sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll. Or if that's not your thing, what about you YouTube videos. You watch that funny video that you got linked to, and then you literally have 8 seconds, folks, 8 seconds to decide if you're going to watch the next video or not. And if you don't decide, YouTube decides for you. It probably took you more than 8 seconds to decide which kind of donut, if you're going to have the one with the bacon or the one with the sprinkles on top this morning walking in. Who decides something in 8 seconds? Something outside of us does. And I know for some of you guys, you're like, I don't even have Facebook. I'm not on the gram. But there's those ESPN.com articles and the NFL.com and Rivals and checking up on the latest draft prospects and the recruits that are committing. Following your favorites, beat writers. And even for those non-internet, non-social media types, there's our jobs. Our jobs have expectations on us that control us. This is just what I do, and this is probably what I'm always going to do. Or maybe it's your kids. You find out someone else's kid is 18 months old and they're already playing T-ball, and you're like, what? I didn't know they were supposed to sign up for T-ball already. Or maybe it's you're 25, you're 30 now, and there's family expectations of when are you going to get married, when are you going to start having kids, are weighing on you. Sometimes these expectations that control us are even negative. Your old man cheated, walked out on your family, and you're going to be just like him. There's things that pull and tug on our priorities every day. And this is the one that gets me, I think, the most. It's the neighbors. If you had a week like this where we've had some rain and then you have a lot of heat, and the grass starts growing a little faster, and you're like, it's Saturday afternoon, I really want to take a nap. And sure enough, as you decide to not mow the yard that week, you hear the neighbor's lawnmower crank up, and then before you know it, your grass looks like this, and theirs is like nice and clean cut. And you're like, oh, I'm going to have to mow now, aren't I? That priority of keeping up with the neighbors. Or if you've been watching a little too much HGTV, and you go all Chip and Joanna, and you're like, I gotta have shiplap and a farmhouse sink, and I'm gonna redo my kitchen, and you start dreaming about all these ways. Yeah, you've been there, haven't you? These priorities, they begin to control us in that way. So today we're gonna look at a verse from Proverbs 21:5. It says, the plans of the diligent end up in profit, but those who hurry end up with loss. Ben Franklin has a quote that planning to fail is failing, or failing to plan is planning to fail. If we don't plan out our priorities, we're not only going to fail, but are our priorities giving us value? Are they taking value away from our lives? And you notice there's also a little bit about our pace. Are we even operating at a pace that we're able to decide what our priorities are? Are we just hurrying around? And so Jesus, one day, was traveling, and he was teaching and healing in different villages, and he comes to a village that doesn't even have a name. And this is what happens. A man with a skin disease approached Jesus, fell to his knees and begged, if you want, you can make me clean. And since Jesus reached out his hand, touched him, and said, I too want to be clean. In other translations, this is a man with leprosy. Jesus heals this man, and instantly the skin disease left him, and he was clean. Sternly, Jesus sent him away, saying, don't say anything to anyone. Instead, go and show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifice for your cleansing that Moses commanded. This will be a testimony to them. So Jesus sends him away and says, don't tell anyone about this. If listening to Jesus was so easy today, it would have been a little different then, right? Instead, he went out and started talking freely and spreading the news so that Jesus wasn't able to town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, but people came to him from everywhere. And so immediately, even in this story of Jesus, things outside of him begin to contrive to control Jesus. They try to be priorities for Jesus. The first thing that tries to be a priority for Jesus is expectations. The crowd grows because the word spreads. And the crowd around Jesus begins to expect healing. There were some in the crowd that expected Jesus to be a great military leader, to overthrow the Roman Empire. The disciples had their own expectations of who Jesus was. And this is Jesus. But what about you? What are the expectations that you live with? Those expectations, they pull and they tug on us. The second thing that happens in this story is the approval of others. This is a big crowd. A big crowd gathers around Jesus. And they're wanting Jesus to prove himself. You've been saying you're this, now show it to us. You fed people, now feed us again. You've healed people, now heal us. The disciples, they ask lots of questions. They want the approval. In our own lives, the approval of others, people pleasing, pulls our priorities in different directions. Our family, our friends, our neighbors, our jobs. We just can't say no oftentimes. We want to give it to our kids to make them happy. We long for the approval of others. We long for those social media likes. I'm sure you don't ever do something like this, where you have those picture-perfect moments, and you're like, hold up, let's take a picture of this so we can maybe post it later. That's in the back of your mind, at least. And you completely interrupt that picture-perfect moment, and by the time you get a phone out and you open up the camera app, you now have hair pulling, one kid's walking on that side, there's crying going on, and that picture-perfect moment was completely interrupted because of our inability to live in that moment, to make that moment a priority in our life. And finally, the last thing that pulls Jesus' priorities here is the urgent. There's a crowd that gathers and they want him to preach and heal right now, right there, in that moment. There's always something to be urgent in our lives, right? There's always a text message and we've got to reply immediately. Being in a middle school auditorium reminds me of a time when you actually had to call a friend and you weren't quite sure if that's who would answer the phone. You might actually have to talk to their parents. This was even more awkward when it was someone that you had a crush on. The immediacy, the urgency that we live with, it's crazy. We can get something in 2 hours. Our food can get here right now. Famous last words of mine are always, it'll only take a second, let me get this done. And it never takes just a second. It might take a minute, it might take an hour, it might take all day. But that urgency, that need, becomes a priority in my own life. But here, look what Jesus does. With all of these expectations, the need for approval, the urgency, pulling and tugging on Jesus, what does Jesus do? He goes to the deserted place. Other translations of the Bible says he goes to the wilderness. And in fact, the wilderness is the best place. You might be thinking, I don't really like camping. Going to the wilderness says sleeping in a tent in the woods. And I'm more like a myriad kind of person. But the wilderness is the best place. Because Jesus physically removes those distractions, those expectations, the need for approval, the urgency away from his life. And he went to the quiet place. The wilderness is the place where life slows down, where you have that place that's away from our phones, away from the constant noise, away from everything being urgent. The wilderness is away from that need for validation. Perfect Instagram life. Wilderness is no longer saying yes, yes, yes. So what might the wilderness be for you if it's not camping in the woods? The wilderness might be that 10 minutes on your way to work when you stop for coffee. The wilderness offer for me is a run. Going on a run. The wilderness might be those last 5 minutes of your drive home. You pull in the driveway. And you decide in that moment to be a better husband, to be a better father. The wilderness might be a rainy Saturday sitting on the front porch. The wilderness might be those 5 minutes in between meetings. And I know there's some skeptics out here that are like, Chris, is the wilderness even possible? Every time I come home, there's still 2 kids screaming. As much as I wish they could stay at school all night too, they come home, it's loud. I still have a job with a boss that has his own expectations of my life. There's my own deadlines that I have to meet. And on top of that, maybe I'm even in school still. How in the world can I spend time in the wilderness when I've got all this other stuff going on? Well, Jesus, the Jesus that heals, the Jesus that walks on water, he was kind of a big deal. There was crowds pressing in on him. There was crowds that needed him. And he still took time to go to the wilderness. To find that quiet place, to take control of his priorities. But the wilderness here is not just some quiet time. It's not hashtag self-care Sunday. Wilderness is not a place where you go to find your better self. The wilderness is not that place where you go and make some 5-year goals. The wilderness is where Jesus went to pray. Jesus goes to the wilderness to pray, to connect with the Father, to be with the Father, to spend time with God. Jesus went to the wilderness to spend time with God. You probably had these moments in your life where like, man, my life is spinning out of control. I'm about to lose my mind. Apparently that's a saying we actually say in our house a lot because our 2-year-old has picked up, I'm losing my mind, he'll say it now. Those moments when you're losing control, when you're losing your mind, you're like, I'm going to start cutting some things. I've got to refocus my life. When there's that 2-year-old tapping you on the shoulder at 3:45 in the morning, you're like, hey, I'm up. You're losing your mind. You want to take control. What's the first thing that I know I cut from my life? I cut God from my life. I cut spending time with God, being with God. That wilderness I cut from my life is the first thing that goes. I'm sure none of you are like me in that regard. When in fact, cutting God should never even be an option. Jesus went to the wilderness to connect with God. He went to disconnect from all the things that tried to control his priorities. Those things outside of us. Those be here, be there, do this, do that. Constant stream tries to control us. Here's the thing, God created you. And God says to you, I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. My plan is easy, my burden is light. And you don't have to go searching for approval because I am already pleased with you. I love you. There's There's no more striving. There's no more need for the approval from others. And the only thing that God says is what is urgent is actually connecting with me. When you're busy, that's actually when you need to connect with me more. Because it allows you to focus on what matters the most. When you feel weak, in the wilderness you find strength. When you feel chaos around you, in the wilderness you find peace. In the wilderness, when you feel scared and afraid, you find wilderness. Or you find courage in the wilderness. So it's time that we start fighting for the wilderness in our lives. When you walked in this morning, you should have received a paper tape measure. You can take the sticky note off for a second. So we're going to be very European or scientific, whatever style you want to go with. So if you'll find the centimeters on it. Once you found the centimeters on the top there, I want you to define your age. And right at that spot, I want you to tear it. Alright? Just drop it. That's your pass. Don't be trying to pick up somebody's past in the back there. Let go. Alright, so now I want you to, whatever age you think you might die, you don't have to be all 100% correct here, predicted. But just, you can also be honest too. If you're like me and you ate chicken tenders and french fries last night for dinner, I'm probably not going to live to 130. I'm just going to throw that out there. Drop that down, because that's our time and eternity with Jesus. So that last piece you have in your hand is the time that we have to make the things that we actually say are our priorities, that we actually want to spend time doing. And so I want you to take that sticky note now. I want you to write down one thing that's adding value in your life, and one thing in your life that's subtracting value. I'll give you just a moment. Folks, this is what we got left in our life. Our priorities are going to add value. This is what we got left. Let me close this in prayer. Gracious and loving God, we come in this moment knowing that you are a good, good Father. So oftentimes we run from you. We hide from you. We know the good things that you have called us to, and we just simply don't do them. God, silence those voices that pull us in other directions. Free us from the need for approval from others. Allow us to find value in you. Pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
On the night before Jesus gave himself up for us, it was very clear to him that the tape measure was running out. And so he began to think about his priorities. He spent some time with God, but then he went with his friends in a room. He spent some time with them sharing a meal. Because this was Jesus' priority, right? For friends and community and God. And while he was in that room having his last meal with his friends, he took bread and he gave thanks to God. And he broke the bread and he gave it to the disciples. And he said, "Take, eat. This is my body, given for you and for the whole world." And after the supper was over, he took the cup and gave thanks to God, and he shared it with the disciples, and he said, "This is my blood poured out for you and for the whole world, for the forgiveness of sins." There was a moment where Jesus lined his priorities up where they needed to go, with all the expectations and all the things going on outside. He took his friends into a room and he said, "We need to eat bread and we need to connect to God." And he told them, like, this is what I'm about to do. I'm about to give my life up for you, because in this world, the priorities are going to get mixed up all the time. And I want you to remember and to do this as often as you can. Because in this world, our priorities get all messed up all the time. And so this morning, we have the opportunity again to remember and realign our priorities with the God who wants to give you abundant and free life. And so this morning, you'll be given a small piece of bread, and the servant will say to you, this is the body of Christ given for you. And they'll give you some juice, and they'll say, "This is the blood of Christ given for you." And you have a moment this morning to reconnect to the God who wants to order your life in a way that gives you freedom and abundance. For those who are coming to serve communion. There's also a gluten and nut-free option here, and the juice, just serve yourself if you need that option. Do not feel bad about it. We want everyone to get to participate in this morning.
Wanna find you in every season, in every moment. Before I break my knee, I will break my heart and see you. I wanna see you, I wanna see you. I wanna keep you, I wanna keep you. It's more than anything I want Before I speak a word, let me hear your voice. There's something meant to feel your truth. I wanna know you, I wanna find you in every season, in every moment. Before I speak a word, I will lift my heart and see you. I wanna see you, I wanna see you.
About a year ago, there were 37 people in this auditorium. We had started Horizon about 6 weeks before, and this was the hardest week a year ago when we started the church. We actually baptized a kid that Sunday, and I remember going home and telling Chris, I don't know if we need to keep doing it. Like, we might need to have a conversation about this. And he told me, when we got home, he said, Erica, there was a family who brought their child to be baptized in your church. And the congregation always has a response when we baptize. And they promised to surround the child with a community of love and forgiveness. They may be nurtured and know more about living as Jesus lived. And he said, a family has made that their priority. And I think next Sunday we're just going to try it again. And from that Sunday forward, we just kept growing and growing and growing. We're outgrowing our children's space. At Easter, we even had people sitting on the sides. It was very exciting to watch what God was doing here every Sunday. And so there's a lot of times at Horizon we talk about serving the community, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, working at BT Washington, collecting food for N68 Hours of Hunger. Our heart is to impact this community, but there's something special that happens here every Sunday morning. And your offering doesn't only go to support the work we do in the community, but it goes to support the work that God does here on Sunday morning in shining light and igniting change in our lives, that we may be people who do that in the world. And so this morning, if it's your first time here, this service is simply a gift to you. Please feel no obligation to give. But if you've been coming a while, I just want to invite you to consider giving every week. Chris and I give weekly online. 90% of our giving comes from online. I just want to invite you to make giving an offering to God something that's a priority in your life, because when we show up, even when it's tough, I've watched God do some amazing things with what little bit we have brought to God. So, for the offering, please come forward.
There is a hallelujah in the presence of my enemy. I raise a hallelujah. I will watch the darkness flee. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Will you please stand and raise your hallelujah with us? I raise a hallelujah with everything inside me. Oh, we raise a hallelujah. I raise a hallelujah. I will watch the darkness flee. Oh, I'll raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. I raise a hallelujah, and we got no fear now. Fear, you lost your hold on me. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Sing a little louder in the presence of my enemies. Sing a little louder, louder than the unbelief. Sing a little louder, my weapon is a melody. Sing a little louder, oh, whatever comes to fight for me. Sing a little louder in the presence of my enemies. Sing a little louder in the middle of the unbelief. Oh, sing a little louder, my weapon is a melody. Sing a little louder, heaven comes to fight for me. Sing a little louder, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. I'll raise a hallelujah. Oh, we raise it up. I'll raise a hallelujah. Lift your voice, raise it up. I'll raise a hallelujah. I'll raise a hallelujah.
Hope is rising, and we are just so excited about what God has been doing in this congregation and in this church. In 2 Sundays, on November 3rd, we'll actually have a baptism Sunday. Some of you have asked us and shared with us about the amazing ways that God has been at work in your life. And so we'll be celebrating a baptism right out there on the front yard of the school. And if you're interested, if God has been doing something in your life and you have a story to tell, you want to share it in baptism that Sunday, grab Eric and I, mark it on your connection card. You can also sign up online as well. So go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen.
It's over now. It's awesome. So we like to march tour guys, but like
Hallelujah. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.